Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In the previous session we covered all the basics of Java collection. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend check it out first because it will make today's topic much easier to understand. Okay, now in this session we are going to learn what is Java collection framework with real life example. Then we will see why did Java need collection framework. After that, we will learn complete collection framework architecture with practical approach. And at the end, we will focus on some important interview questions based on this topic. Okay, so if you are preparing for Java interviews or want to build a strong foundation in collections, this session is for you. So let's get started. So as I explained in a previous video, collection is a container that store the group of objects, right? But now the next question is, what kind of container are you talking about? Because a container can be anything that stores something. For example, a water bottle is also a container because it stores water or any other liquid, right? So in Java, what kind of container are you talking about? So here a container means a data structure like array list, linked list, hash set, queue, and many more. Each of these store the group of objects, but they store and organize objects in a different way. That means think of it like when you go to the shopping mall. Okay. Inside the shopping mall, you find different types of containers or shelf. One shelf is used to store a grocery, right? Another shelf is used to store a footwear. And one shelf is used to store a clothes. Right? And we don't store grocery into the footwear shelf or clothes into the grocery shelf, right? Because each shelf is designed for a specific purpose, right? But all of them, that is all shelves, are organized under one shopping mall. Similarly, Java provides different type of containers such as array list, linked list, hash set, queue, and many more. Each one is designed for a different purpose and have a different properties. But all of them are organized under one common structure called as Java Collection Framework. Okay, clear? So let's understand what is Java Collection Framework. Okay, but before that, let's first understand what a framework is. So in general, a framework is a common structure that organizes different components together. Think about a shopping mall. A shopping mall is a common structure that organizes different types of shelves together. Similarly, in Java, a framework is a common structure that organizes different predefined interfaces and classes. Now you already know that collection is used to store the group of objects, right? So what will be the definition of Java Collection Framework? So Java Collection Framework is a common structure that organizes predefined interfaces and classes for storing and managing group of objects. Okay, clear? So if interviewer asks, what is the Java Collection Framework? Then you can simply say Java Collection Framework is a common structure that organizes predefined interfaces and classes for storing and managing group of objects. Okay, so these predefined interfaces and classes are already provided by Java, so we can directly use them in our programs instead of creating everything from scratch. Okay, so as we have learned that the Java Collection Framework contains many predefined interfaces and classes, right? But what are these interfaces and classes? How are they organized? And how are they connected to each other? We don't know that yet, right? So to understand all of these, let's look at the Java Collection Framework architecture. Here we will see how all the interfaces and classes are arranged and how they are related to one another. Okay. So I have already drawn the Java collection framework architecture. Okay. So a Java collection framework is available in java.util package, and it was introduced in Java 1.2. Okay. So at the top of the hierarchy, we have the iterable interface. It was introduced in Java 1.2, and below the iterable interface, we have the collection interface. The collection interface is the root interface of the Java collection hierarchy. Remember this point from an interview perspective because it's a commonly asked interview question. Okay, and it was introduced in Java 1.2 as well. And most of the collection interfaces and classes are derived from this interface. Okay, so here the collection interface extend the iterable interface, and I will show you this practically in Eclipse, so don't worry. Okay, and the first child of collection interface is list interface. It was also introduced in Java 1.2, and these array list, linked list, vector and stacks are the main implementation classes of the list interface. Okay, so what does implementation classes means? The classes that implement the list interface and provide its actual implementation, because an interface cannot be instantiated. That is, we cannot create an object of the list interface directly. So to use the features of the list interface, we create objects of its implementation classes, such as array list, linked list, vector, stack. These are the implementation classes of list interface. Okay, and note the point that array list, linked list and vector directly implement the list interface, whereas stack is indirectly implement the list interface because it extend the vector class, and vector class already implements the list interface, and therefore stack automatically get all the features of list interface. That's why stack is called an indirect implementation class of the list interface, and this is commonly asked interview question, so note this point. Okay, so here array list was introduced in Java 1.2, and linked list was also introduced in Java 1.2, but vector and stack were introduced earlier in Java 1.0, and that's why vector and stacks are called legacy classes. So what does legacy means? So legacy classes are older classes that exist before the Java collection framework was introduced. They are still supported in Java, but in most modern Java applications, developers prefer to use newer collection classes like array list and linked list because they provide a more consistent and flexible design. However, don't think legacy means old and unusable. So these legacy classes still work and are part of Java today. They are simply older classes that were created before the collection framework. And the second child of collection is set interface. It was also introduced in Java 1.2, and its implementation classes are hash set and link hash set. So hash set was introduced in Java 1.2. Okay, but link hash set was introduced in Java 1.4. And sorted set is an interface, not a class, that keeps element in a sorted order, and it was introduced in Java 1.2. And navigable set is also an interface which extends the sorted set interface. And tree set is the implementation class of a navigable set interface. That means tree set implements a navigable set interface. And the third child of collection is the queue interface. It was introduced in Java 1.2 as well, and its implementation class is priority queue, which is introduced in Java 1.5. And DQ, that is double-ended queue, it is an interface introduced in Java 1.6, and it extends the queue interface. And array DQ is the implementation class of DQ interface, which is introduced in Java 1.6. Okay, Clear? So always keep in mind collection interface is a root interface and it has a three child: list interface, set interface and queue interface. Okay, so list interface has four implementation classes: array list, a linked list, vector and stack. Okay, but stack is a indirect implementation class of the list interface because stack extend the vector class, right? And here set has two implementation classes: has set, link has set. And set is further divided into a sorted set, which is an interface introduced in Java 1.2, and navigable set, which is introduced in Java 1.6. Okay, so navigable set interface extend the sorted set interface, and the tree set is the implementation class of a navigable set interface. Okay, and here queue has one implementation class and it's a priority queue, which is introduced in Java 1.5. Okay, and queue is further divided into a DQ. So DQ is stand for double-ended queue. Okay, and which is introduced in Java 1.6, and it has one implementation class and it's a array_DQ, which is introduced in Java 1.6. Okay, similarly let's understand the map hierarchy. So map is an interface introduced in Java 1.2 and its implementation classes are hash map, link hash map, tree map, hash table and properties. But link hash map, tree map and properties are indirect implementation classes of map. So here hash map and tree map are introduced in Java 1.2, whereas link hash map is introduced in Java 1.4, and hash table class and property class are legacy classes, and hash table class and property class were introduced in Java 1.0. That's why these are legacy classes. And sorted map and navigable map are the interfaces which extend the map interface. So sorted map was introduced in Java 1.2 and navigable map was introduced in Java 1.6. So this is the complete Java collection framework hierarchy. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of it because it's not included in the PDF notes. Okay, now if you notice the complete hierarchy, you will see that vector, stack, hash table and property, all these classes are legacy classes because these were introduced earlier in Java 1.0 before the collection framework exists, right? So here question comes that why did Java need collection framework? Because before Java 1.2 developers had array, vector, hash table, properties, stack, right? So these classes were already available and everything was fine. So why Java introduced new collection framework? So the answer is simple. Before Java 1.2 there was no common architecture. For example, vector, stack, hash table, properties and arrays were all separate classes. All these classes designed independently and were not connected through a common set of interfaces like list, set or map. Each class had its own design and behavior. Everything looked different, and because of this, developers faced several problems, such as they had to learn each class separately, and this created confusion because there was no common programming style and there was no standard interfaces, and due to this it was difficult to reuse the code. So the problem before Java 1.2 were no standard interfaces, no common architecture, difficult to reuse the code and difficult to learn and maintain the code. So to solve this problem, Java introduced the collection framework in Java 1.2. Now let's understand the Java collection framework hierarchy practically in Eclipse. Now see here, let's type collection. So you can see here, it automatically imports java.util.collection. Okay, and now just move cursor on collection, then press Ctrl and click. As you can see, this is predefined collection interface which extend the iterable interface, and it was introduced in Java 1.2. Now let's see list interface. So list interface is the first child of collection interface, right? So let's check it out. So let's type here list. So guys, you will notice something different here, right? So list interface extend the sequence collection interface instead collection interface, right? So that's because I'm using newer version Java 21. So Java 21 introduced a new interface called sequence collection interface. But don't get confused. If I click on sequence collection interface, then it extend the collection interface. So list indirectly extend the collection interface. So my recommendation is, as a beginner, first you must understand the traditional collection framework hierarchy. Okay. Now let's check it out for array list. So array list is an implementation class of list interface. Okay. So let's check it out. Array list. Press Ctrl and click. So as you can see, this is a predefined array list class which was introduced in Java 1.2, and it's implement a list interface. Okay. Similarly, you can check it out for linked list, vector and stack. Now let's check it out set interface. Set. So set interface is another child of collection interface. Okay. That's why it's extend the collection interface. It was also introduced in Java 1.2. Now let's see the queue interface. Okay. So let's type here queue and let's check it out. So as you can see, this is a predefined queue interface which was introduced in Java 1.5, and it extend the collection interface. Okay. Now let's move on map hierarchy. So let's type here map and let's check it out. So as you can see, this is predefined map interface which was introduced in Java 1.2. Okay. And see here, it doesn't implement the collection interface. That means it is not a child of the collection interface, because map store data as a key value pair, whereas collection store individual objects. And this is commonly asked interview question, that is map part of the collection interface? So we will discuss it at the end of this session. Okay. Alright. Now let's see the implementation class of map interface. So the implementation class of map interface is hash map, link hash map, tree map, hash table and properties. Okay. So let's check it out for hash table. As you can see, hash table implements map interface, and it was introduced in Java 1.0. So this hash table is a legacy class, right? Similarly, you can check for remaining classes and interfaces. Okay. That's all. So I hope you understand what is framework, collection framework and collection framework architecture, and why Java introduced collection framework. Okay. Alright. Now let's cover some interview questions based on this topic. So the first question is, what is Java collection framework? So you can simply say Java collection framework is a common structure that organizes predefined interfaces and classes for storing and managing groups of objects. Okay. And another question is, why was the collection framework introduced? So you can say, before Java 1.2, classes like vector and hash table work independently without a common architecture, and the collection framework standardize data structure, improve code reusability and reduce programming efforts. Now let's move on another question, and it's, is map part of the collection interface? So answer is no. Map is part of the Java collection framework, but it does not extend the collection interface. because it store key value pairs instead of individual objects. Okay, and this answer is enough. And last question is, name two legacy collection classes introduced before Java 1.2. Okay, so you can simply say vector, stack, hash table and properties are legacy classes introduced in Java 1.0. Okay, that's all guys. If you have any questions regarding to this session, feel free to leave them in the comment box. I will be active for the 2 hour after the video is uploaded to answer your questions. Okay, and if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. It motivates me a lot to make such useful videos for you. Now I am going to end here. See you in the next video. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and thank you so much for watching.